Coming up on show 908, two brand new cars from Renault and Dacia, the all-electric Mégane and the new Spring. Plus, on the podcast today, Elon keeps his promise to lower the price of the Model S again. VW buying robots to build the Buzz. That's the all-electric camper van that I wasn't even sure they were going to make, but they are. And Tesla's China-made Model Y could be ridiculously cheap. We'll run you through the math on that. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily for Thursday, 15th of October. My name is Martin Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. The used car market is really hotting up. There's a story on today's podcast about incentives for used cars, but sadly not in the US. But you do have, you lucky sausages, myev.com. Great website, great marketplace, elegantly designed. It connects you with buyers and sellers, if that's what you're doing. If you want to just window shop, as I do all of the time on EVs, especially the ones I can't afford. I love doing that. And having a look at maybe cars in your area. Totally free to use. Check it out, myev.com. When Elon Musk tweeted that he was lowering the price of the Model S last night to $69,420, yes and yes, which beats the entry Lucid Air by $500, by the way. I did wonder if Elon was half joking, but checking the design studio this morning, I noticed the changes happened on the US store. The UK store hasn't changed, by the way, and I don't know about the European prices as well. So if you do track those prices, and I don't, I just know that I recognise the UK price hasn't moved. However, in the space of 48 hours, more than $5,000 taken off in two separate price drops for the Model S. There's now a it's about $22,570 difference between entry-level long range, the mid-range performance, who thought I'd ever say that, and the top of the range, plaid, is still on sale, obviously. So yeah, $22,500 if you want to go from long range to performance. Well, what do you get for your $22,500 now? It's a bigger jump than it's ever been, I think, from the base model to the next one up. Well, you'll get 8 miles an hour more at the top speed, but let's be honest, if the police catch you doing 155 miles an hour, you're losing your license either way on public roads. 0 to 60 time does drop, because you get ludicrous mode at 3.7 seconds, which frankly is ludicrous, but it's not, according to Tesla, goes down to 2.3 seconds, and you get a carbon fibre spoiler. And some niceties inside as well. You get for your $22,500 difference. I personally, you know what, I'm not in the market. I can't afford one. Just get the long range. Long range plus, as they have to call it now. Just because it does everything you want. 400-mile EV, crazy fast, big enough to haul lots of people and luggage across continents. Hell yes, please. What about the X? Model X remains unchanged. It's either $79,990, we'll call it 80, or $99,990, we'll call it 100. But you'll soon be into six figures the minute you want any other shade of paint or some nice funky 21-inch wheels on those. Moving on to France, and sort of Romania, actually, because Renault is obviously French, and Dacia, their budget brand, is Romanian. Two new EVs from Renault today, though. The Renault Mégane. Mégane's a massive seller, an all-electric Mégane. They've called it the Mégane eVision, and it's going to be on sale next year. And it's mega news for a company that I was, a little bit. I've owned two Renault Zoes now. I was a little bit worried about their roadmap going forward, but they say the Renault Mégane eVision will be on sale in 2021. The Dacia Spring Electric will be the cheapest EV on sale in Europe. They said that the Renault Mégane eVision is a dynamic concept compact hatchback for a new generation of EVs. Launched next year, 160 kilowatt motor, that's 217 horsepower, frankly all the power that you need unless you're a real speed freak. But look, if you're in the market for a Renault Mégane, 220 horsepower, yeah, that's fine. AC charging up to 22 kilowatts, just like is their form with the Zoe, and that's nice. All over France, there's a ton of 22 kilowatt AC posts. There's a few here, a few over Europe and stuff, but that's really nice. Many of them are free as well. But hell, yes, please. 22 kilowatt AC charging, lovely. No other cars do that. DC charging is 130 kilowatts, very respectable. The battery is 60 kilowatt hours. And again, this is all the right ballpark to get 450 kilometers out of this. It's a very, very sensible spec, and if you've heard it all before, you have. It's the same as the Nissan Ariya. It's built on the same platform, the CMF EV platform. Of course, Renault, Nissan, part of the alliance, they're going to have this on sale before the Ariya. Ariya's still a year and a bit away. It was my main criticism when they announced it a couple of months ago. Great specs, great look, great tech, great. Nissan saying, a couple of years away. Come on! You can do better. You got the people, the tech, the knowledge, the money to get it here sooner. Looks like Renault could be beating their sister company to market with the Mégane, though. What about at the bottom end of the market, though? The Dacia. Well, the Dacia Spring says Renault has 4 real seats. That's always nice, rather than 4 pretend seats. I know what they mean by that. Light, it's compact. It's got 225 kilometres on the mixed cycle on WLTP. And it says, I love this press release. It guarantees a high versatility for the peri-urban use. A new phrase to me. I will be Googling what the peri-urban use. P-E-R-I. Urban. What's peri-urban? Who knows? I've heard of semi-urban, but the peri-urban use? Hey. So I'll be Googling that. The specs on this, I'll give them to you. You can make your own mind up. The motor is 33 kilowatts. That's 44 brake horsepower. Yeah. Eco mode will limit that. Top speed is 125 kilometers an hour. Eco mode will limit that. Like the Zoe. It's about 60 mile an hour on the Zoe, innit, when you put eco mode on. The AC charging is not as good as I just mentioned with the Mégane, 6.6 kilowatts. But that's the charging. 6.6 kilowatts on AC. You don't get DC fast charging on this unless you spec it. But the battery, it's a tiddler. I mean, not a tiddler by 5 years ago standards, but it's a weenie one, 26.8 kilowatt hours, and that'll do you 140 miles or 225 kilometers. But look, frankly, this is a small car. It looks bigger than it really is because of the SUV sort of SUV styling. It's a small city car with high sides. Looks in the pictures, it looks bigger than it really is. But the boot is usable. It's got 300 litres of usable space in the boot. It's got a 7-inch touchscreen. It's got some good tech, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's got the charge port at the front, in the middle, like the Zoe or the MG ZS. Brilliant. Double thumbs up for that. It's bigger than a VW E-Up, but not by much. So yeah, I mean, it's a small car, right? And there's a few extras. Would you like air conditioning? That'll be extra. Would you like electric door mirrors? That'll be extra. Made in China, like the car on which it is based, which sells for like $8,000 in China. The key to this car is the price. So what do you reckon it could be? 15,000 euros? 14,000? 13,000 euros. Now, somebody did ask me today, they tweeted me about the German incentives. In Germany, you get 9,500 euros off a car. That is true, but it's only if the car makers themselves sign up to that incentive scheme, because they've got to chip in like a third of it. So I don't imagine Dacia will be doing that unless they artificially inflate the price by $3,000 to offset the money that they're having to put into the incentive. In which case, if it's a car on sale for 18,000 euros, which would be overpriced for a car of this spec, and the cheapest car on sale is the E-Up at the moment. So say it's 18,500 euros, which ticks the box that they led with the press release today, the cheapest car in Europe, EV. And they did put the money in Germany, then yes, you could get this for less than 10,000 euros. And you add in running costs, I mean, it's cheaper than any cheap petrol car. It's crazy cheap to run this for 2 or 3 years. And look, this car is absolutely about being the second car on your driveway. It's about ride-sharing schemes. It's about working vehicles. You know, if you've got, like, we bought our Renault Zoe last year and it was new. We've never bought a new car. It was a real treat. And we saved up for it and let's do it. And there is something so disheartening about looking in the rearview mirror at what's happening in the baby seat in the back as a bottle of juice is being emptied onto the back seat and the small person is giggling whilst looking at me. Brilliant. Can we not do that, please? Can we please don't tip out your juice bottle onto the entire back of the car that we've only owned a year now? Look, I would have this Dacia in a heartbeat if it was anything around that price. Because it is a second car on the driveway. It makes so much sense to have a car that can get a little bit beaten and bashed around. It can be used as families are messy. but I can't get it. And I'll tell you why. They're not making it in right-hand drive version. Gutted. Is that a mistake? Well, they've obviously thought it through. It's being made in China, which of course is a left-hand drive market. So, yeah, not on sale in the UK. What else is right-hand drive? Not on sale in Ireland, Australia, Aussie and New Zealand. Both drive on the left-hand side of the road. India, massive market. This is such a cheap car. The Indians could have taken this car and run with it. Japan, Singapore, they're all left-hand lane, aren't they? So all right-hand drive cars. But anyway, I can't get one. Gutted. Talking of France, by the way, just a quick story. France is planning a new premium for EVs that are used. A new subsidy of €1,000 has been announced specifically for the purchase of second-hand EVs, according to the website Electrive. So far, the French government's subsidies programme has included grants for new EVs, but the subsidies, which were increased in the course of the corona crisis, will be reduced from next year. A premium for used EVs was discussed last month as part of a package of measures to revive the economy. Just brilliant, because of course we are getting into that stage now where EVs are making their way onto the used market, and it's only the new ones that have been getting the incentives. Great news. Well done, France. Fisker is next in the news, going public through a merger with the blank check companies that are all the rage in 2020. They're called SPACs, SPACs, and I've explained this a million times recently because every blooming EV company is doing a SPAC this year. Nikola, one of the more high-profile ones, but I'll quickly, in the next 10 seconds, explain what it is. So a company goes public, they do an IPO, then they raise funds from people who don't know what they will be investing in ultimately. That public company then has 2 years to find another company to do a reverse merger with. It's a way of these other companies to then become publicly traded much, much, much quicker than the usual process of diligence and running the ruler across all the company books, because the funding is already there. People have invested in this blank check company, and they hope that they will make some money out of it. According to Autoblog, this is exactly what Fisker did recently, and they announced today that they have selected Magna as the supplier of their vehicle platform and the company that will build the SUV from Fisker called the Ocean. Well, as part of the deal, Magna also get a bit of Fisker, 6%. The company's worth about $3 billion. And the chief exec, Henrik Fisker, told Reuters that the stake for Magna's is subject to hitting engineering and production milestones. The Ocean will be out in November 2022, so we're a couple of years away from that. And they will be building the SUV at their plant in Austria, in Graz. If you've heard me talk about Magna before, yes, they make the I-Pace for Jaguar. They're very good at making cars, and if you are a new company like Fisker, by the way, I think Henrik Fisker, an amazing designer, right? That car looks gorgeous. Gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. But do you want to put together a whole car company to build the Ocean? Not really. Can you get somebody else to make it and do all the heavy lifting there, give them a stake of the company, pay them to make it, and you just look after marketing, styling, customer experience? Yes, please, because the price of this is $38,000. And that is going to be very attractive for a car that can seat 7. It's got 3 rows. All right, moving on. VW are buying robots, and they are really investing heavily in their EV production. Volkswagen has confirmed a massive order for robots to build 2 cars, the ID.4, which is their SUV, and it's going to be a massive seller, and also the ID. Buzz. Now, I'm delighted about this because the Buzz is the surf van, right, which I first saw when Johnny Smith drove it on a fully charged video, and it was just a concept car, and he was in like Miami Beach or something. It was so cool, and it would be amazing to have an all-electric surf bus. It was just so cool, and I thought they're never making that. I'm not cynical, but they're never making that. They are today affirming that they have placed a massive order of 2,200 industrial robots for 3 different factories to make these cars. According to Electrek, VW launched the ID4 last month in the US, and although it's being produced in Germany, they're expanding their factory in Chattanooga, Tennessee to start production in 2022. VW says, and I quote, the Volkswagen brand has ordered 1,400 robots from the Japanese manufacturer Fanuc for its facilities in Chattanooga and Emden. Also, that's in Germany. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles has ordered 800 more robots for their Hanover plant from ABB of Switzerland. The robots are to be mainly used for body production and battery assembly. The three plants are being prepared for the production of the ID4 and the ID Buzz. That's its show name, by the way. It won't be called the ID Buzz. It'll have a number, surely, won't it? Whatever they call it, whatever number they give it, amazing. It's going to be made in Hanover. Brilliant. And let's talk about Teslas being made in China. Recent estimates from the securities firm Tianfeng Securities are pointing at what would be a remarkable story for Tesla, the ongoing ramp in China, as noted by the firm in a recently released research note and tweeted out. Tesla's strategy of passing on its cost savings to customers in China could result the made-in-China Model Y could well be on sale for the equivalent of $41,000. Reporting Teslarati. And remember, in the US, that car's going to cost you either $50,000 or $60,000, depending on which of the two models you choose. The made-in-China Model Y would be priced 9% higher than the made-in-China Model 3, which does reflect the pricing structure of the US. Standard range plus variant in China sets you back about $36,000 equivalent. Apart from insights about the Model Y starting price, this research note also estimated the production rate of Giga Shanghai could be 360,000 a year. I can't find out when, but even if this is by the end of next year, it would be an insane ramp. That's 30,000 cars a month coming out of China, out of Giga Shanghai. Is it doable? Well, when you think about the Berlin Gigafactory, which they said the Model Ys will be made with that single cast rear piece, the single cast front piece, both just bolting onto the structural battery and possibly using the new cells. Although Elon said yes, it seems so ambitious. But anyway, either way, if there's 8 of those massive stamping presses heading towards Berlin, if they put them into China as well, then there is a pathway to 300,000 cars, a year. 360 would be incredible. It's how important China is to the growth story of Tesla, and how less important their headquarters or their Fremont base increasingly becomes when you look at the new facilities they're building in Shanghai, in Berlin and Austin. Okay, moving on. Electrify America announced today that customers in Florida and Virginia will now pay by the amount of energy used in their vehicle instead of paying by the amount of time that they're plugged in, says Tom Mologney, writing for Inside EVs. By adding Florida and Virginia to the list of states that are now kilowatt hours based on pricing, Electrify America has now moved 25 states and the District of Columbia as well off of their original time-based pricing system, which was arguably terrible, and charging you for what, you actually use. Great news, Electrify America. EVgo, continuing our charging news, tripling the fast charging network throughout Virginia since September 2019. EVgo has developed 5 new chargers a month, totaling 24 fast charging stations at locations and 76 chargers under a contract for the Department of Environmental Quality there. EVgo's fast charging network now covers the state's key regions, they say. Well, the growth in public fast charging has built on the success of EVgo's existing portfolio, 800 station locations across the US, and most of any, actually, of a public fast charging network. EVgo stations feature the latest 150 kilowatt fast chargers, which will be pretty future-proofed, at least for the next 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, look, we're not going to complain about faster speeds, but when you look at most of the cars coming at mainstream prices that most people will buy, 150 kilowatt charge speed, probably okay. Like I say, quick is always better. Last story today, in separate press releases, both Audi and Volkswagen have announced 2 new plug-in hybrid variants for their largest SUVs, the Audi Q8 and the Volkswagen Touareg. Both cars look very different on the outside, but very, very similar under the skin. Both offer two powertrains, 376 total horsepower, or 456 total horsepower. You'll get a permanent magnet motor, and that's 134 horsepower of electric power, managed by an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, says Steve Hanley at Clean Technica, who says that under the luggage compartment you get your 17.8 kilowatt-hour pouch cell battery, which will do you for 28 miles and 83 miles an hour, which for most people, really, will do a daily commute. Now, I know commutes in the US are longer, certainly than here in Europe, but still, if you've got some destination charging anyway at your workplace or where you're going, 25 miles there, 25 miles back, you'll only use electric power, you'll be saving money, saving emissions. I'm really, the second half of 2020, I'm completely torn on plug-in hybrids. I completely get how useful they are, and if you never turn the engine on, how brilliant they are for so many people. But also I can't help but think that EV technology has improved so quickly, we don't really need them anymore, but I understand why they'll be around. And, I come into yesterday's podcast where I talked about that German automotive or mobility conference where Porsche did their presentation yesterday, and they put up their graph of the next 10 years. And plug-in hybrids didn't feature for Porsche. They're just going to go straight from combustion to full electric. Full electric. Now, I can't find a presentation of Porsches of 2 years ago to compare and contrast, but I bet you plug-in hybrids were a bigger proportion of the shift. But they've just taken them out of the mix. So, man, I'm completely torn. I'm so 50-50. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these kind of issues. You can email the show anytime, hello@evnewsdaily.com, or leave a comment on the YouTube show. There are 907 previous shows in the archive, which you can get for free. The blog is evnewsdaily.com. If you subscribe, you haven't got to think about downloading the show each day because your podcast app on your phone or tablet will do it automatically. You get it first and you get it for free if you hit that subscribe button. And if you can leave a little review on Apple Podcasts, it makes a real difference because other people see what you've written and encourages them to listen. And it grows the show. Thank you to our premium partners on Patreon: Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, making some amazing electric technology at Avid, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, NationalCarCharging.com and AlohaCharge.com. Hello to Derek Riley of the EV Review Ireland YouTube channel, and rsimons.co.uk, the electric vehicle specialists at rsymons.co.uk. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. Oh, and do remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.